Okay, so on this problem, we have a big bunch of fractions. Let me, in fact, let me bring them down here. Give them a little more space for us. 6 over p plus 5 over 6 equals 3 over 7 minus 5 over 6p. Okay, so the question is, how do we handle? In fact, let me make this equal sign a little bigger and bolder. There we go. That's our wall of separation there. Okay, so how do we handle fractions with an equal sign? That's really the deal. That's what should catch your eyes. You look at this problem, you say, oh, fractions and an equal sign. Okay, so what do we do with fractions and equal signs? Step number one, you multiply. Remember, so with an equal sign, all of our thinking becomes left side, right side, because that's what, when you have an equal sign, you have a left side and a right side, and they're equal. So that means whatever you do to the left side, you've got to do the same thing to the right side. And if you do, they'll be equal afterwards, right? If they're equal before, you treat them the same, they're going to be equal afterwards. So you're going to multiply all the terms on both sides by the LCD over 1. And what is the LCD? Well, it's one of each. I'm trying to make that a little more clear. One of each type of item under the bar. Right, so I look under the bar, oh, we got a P, we got a 6, we got a 7, we got a 6 and a P. So I'm not going to, so let me put in parentheses, no repeats, in other words. So we're only going to take one of every type of item. So I'm going to take a single P, a single 6, a single 7, and then I don't need the 6 and the P because I already have my 6 and I already have my P. Does that make sense? No repeats, just one of every type. So, and you multiply that over 1. So that's going to be, so the LCD over 1 is going to be 6 times 7 times P over 1. Or you could make it 42P over 1. Same thing, but let's go ahead and write 6 times 7 times P over, it doesn't matter what order you put the 6 first, then the P, then the 7. Put the P in the front, the middle, the back, whatever. None of that matters. You just got to have all of those items. So 6 and 7 and P over 1. And 6 and 7 and P over 1. And 6 and 7 and P over 1. So all three of those have to get a 6, a 7, and a P over 1. Why? Because that is the common denominator, one of each type of item. Okay, and now what do we do from here? We're going to cross cancel, right? Step 2. Cancel all denominators. That's what we want to do. We want to get rid of denominators. P cancels P. So what is left there? Well, 6 times 7 times 6. That makes sense. All three of those are going to multiply. Just use your calculator. I'm going to grab mine right now. So I'm getting 252. Does that make sense? Right, what happened right there? The P's canceled and I multiplied the numbers that were left. What happens in the middle? The 6 is canceled. I'm going to multiply 7 times P times 5, which is going to be 35P. Does that make sense? We're canceling all denominators, cross canceling. And then you just multiply whatever's left over. 7 times 5 is 35P. Right here, the 7s are going to cancel. What's left over? 6 times P times 3. What's that? 18P minus. And 6 and P cancel 6 and P. What's left over? 5 times 7, 35. We don't care about the ones. All right, look at that. So we canceled all denominators. All denominators are canceled away. All right. So what are we going to do now? So now we need to solve this equation for P. Notice we have P right here and we have P right there, 2 places. Do you see that? So, so when the letter is in 2 places, subtract, or let's just say do the opposite, because if it was negative, I'd have to do positive. So we'll just say do the opposite of one of them. And you can do the lower one or the higher one, doesn't matter. One of them. Do the opposite of one of them to both sides, right? Whatever, we have an equal sign here. So whatever we do to one side, we always have to do the same thing to both sides. So I'm going to go, okay, you got 18p. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to subtract 18p. And whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. Yeah. Boom, boom. Those cancel. And these guys make whatever our calculator says, 2, I think it's 17p. Yeah, 17p. Okay. When you get the letter in 2 places, do the opposite of one of them to both sides. So we did that. We did minus 18p on both sides. Got rid of that 18p. Okay, now we're trying to solve for p. So I'll just say step 4, get the letter alone. So what we mean by that is this letter right here is saying, I want to be alone. I want to be all by myself, right? He's a loner. The letter's a loner. So we want to get that letter alone. What's going to make that happen? That means we got to get rid of that 252. We got to get rid of that 17. And then the P will be alone, right? So we like peeling an onion. You start on the outside. First, get rid of that 252. How do we get rid of that 252? We subtract it. The opposite of it, right? Whatever we do to one side, we have no choice but to do the same thing to the other to keep the balance. Boom, boom. So that bring down 17p. Then just do this on your calculator. It'll come out minus 287. And then the last step, the very last step is to divide, right? Because that's at 17 times p. So the opposite of times is divide. We just keep doing the opposite to get the p alone. Divide that in your calculator. I'm hoping that's clean. Let's see. No, it's not. Do they want, either I messed up or they'll take a decimal answer on this one. And I'm not sure which of those two is the truth. Let me see. Let me test it out here real quick. Let me see. Let me see. This is number 3 here. Okay. Oh, they just want you to go. Oh, they say they want a fraction. They won't take a decimal. I'm looking at the question. They want, let me try putting in decimals if they'll take it anyway. Oh, they will actually take a decimal, even though they say fraction. So anyway, so they just want you to leave it this way. Just leave it minus 287 over 17. I tried dividing, and when I divided it with some ugly decimal. So then just leave it like this. That's our final answer. We're just done right there. So let's recap. What did we do on this one? From the beginning, we had fractions with an equal sign, which means you have to multiply through by the LCD over 1. The LCD is one of every type of item under the bar, no repeats. So I multiplied by 6, 7, and p, 6, 7, and p over 1, 6, 7, and p over 1, 6, 7, and p over 1. And we canceled all denominators and multiplied whatever was left over. Cancel, multiply what's left over, cancel, multiply leftovers, cancel, multiply leftovers. And then we had then we noticed this was much nicer here. There's no more fractions because we canceled all denominators. And then when you have the letter in 2 places, you got to do the opposite. You have P there and there. So you gotta do the opposite of one of them. So I did minus 18P to both sides. And that got rid of this one. And then just get P alone. Do minus 252, gets rid of that, divide by the 17. And there it is. And just leave the answer just like that. There we go.